allow us to reintroduce ourselves. We are the mob. Live on a Sunday. Chat Mob, holla at your boy. Can y'all hear me? Am I clear? I know allow us to reintroduce ourselves, but I don't want to have to reintroduce myself again. So before we get started, y'all holla at me. Let everybody get in. We got a very great show. I always try to fill the gaps in the culture. You know, I'm the custodian, you know, just throw it down, I pick it up. Right? All right, so all of this talk about the election. I hope I'm clear. I hope I'm not choppy. Chat Mob, y'all holler at me, y'all get in. But yeah. Right, okay. All right. The legend just came and said he loves the title. So I'm definitely thinking they can hear me out there in YouTube world. Y'all get in. We trying to, I'm definitely as you can see, the phone line is open. So we are open for commentary and suggestions and opinions about who I should vote for and why. Or why are you voting for who or are you voting? All of those things. That's fine with me. Because the thing about voting, I'm saying that it's divide and conquer. I see people from our culture almost coming to blows about who they're voting for. And in my opinion, the whole conversation, right? The whole entire conversation about voting and politics, it's a surface level conversation. But I engage in these conversations from time to time, and I have a new term that we're going to talk about today, and we call it surfing. You know, when they get like, man, you see how many points LeBron scored last night? Yeah, man, LeBron had triple-double, bro, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. I was surfing. But see, I have an understanding about what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, because right underneath that surface level conversation is the deep water. The water is so deep. And that's what meanwhile, we're talking about, man, you see that beach over there? You see that? Oh man, you saw I just rode that wave. Yeah, you did. Meanwhile, there's an entire world going on right beneath us. And we're having a surface level conversation. But today, I'm engaged. I'm all ears. I got the phone line open because I hear you all surfing so often. So much that you try to bring me in, get a little water on me, right? This is the place for it. This is the platform for it, because we're going to get an understanding and we're going to have an education. That's when we say education, we're talking understanding about what are we really getting out of this. If you want to vote for Kamala because you deem her a black woman, that's your choice. If you don't want to vote for her because she's not, that's your choice. We just want to have an understanding because we're surfing. Like I said, keep in mind, I know this is taking you away from you. Voting comes from the word vow. So you're giving a vow. Somebody's vowing to do something for you, right? You're giving a lot of energy to it. So let's keep that in mind. With everything that I talk about, all the facts, all the clips that I'm going to share, that we're surfing. And when you call, I understand if you should call that we are all surfing right now. Because at the end of the day, this has nothing to do, truly, with the improvement of our culture. We got to improve ourselves. So a lot of these things are just divide and conquer type tactics, right? Vote for yourself, right? Exactly, right. That's the first thing you should do. The first thing you should do is vote for a better you, right? You got control of that. You have no control over somebody telling you what they're gonna do for you, right? Because politicians, they screw you over. You see this graphic? I love this. I mean, it's one of them that we got saved, right? So, a bunch of screws being led by a screwdriver, right? Lead yourself. Now, back to the surfing. Because I don't want to jump off into the water because a lot of you will drown. Just get ready for it though, right? You're gonna need a life jacket around here at the mob. All right, so back to the main topic. Has the black vote ever counted? Now, has anybody's vote counted for that part, right? We're talking about the presidential election, what you all like to talk about, fight about, and bicker about all the time. And it's a term that you all seem to know. When I bring it up, everybody says, oh yeah, I heard about that, I know that. But why are you telling me who to vote for if you understand about the electoral college that has already been put in place to keep you from choosing who you want to lead you, which doesn't sound right at all. You should lead yourself. But anyway, back to, like I said, we're gonna keep surfing. So let's get to this. Cornell West, right? Cornell West got invited to Kamala Harris's party, right? She said to drop the running and join her, right? He said some valid things because, you know, Cornell West, I rock with him. I don't know about all this with the presidential election. I'm talking about his movement, his mindset, his thinking, and the things that he says. Represents the same things that I represent here. But anyway, he said some very important things. And this is just to have an understanding, like I said, because half the battle is knowing. And what I've noticed that a lot of us don't know what we're talking about when it comes to politics. Y'all just see Trump talking on Fox and y'all just get mad and triggered in. You get emotional. But we're gonna have an educated conversation, right, about these things. You can make whatever choice you want because, like I said, politics, like every other thing in its existence, is only a resource. It's a choice when you get there, do what you want. But yeah, like I said, Cornell West is talking about working the system from the inside, right? And why he wouldn't join Kamala's party. It's something to think about and something to talk about, right? All right. Hear from the great mind of Cornell West.
There's a certain fear. I mean, there's been an attempt for them to reach out to me.
About working in the administration, about backing your candidacy?
Absolutely.
Would you work in a Harris administration?
Oh, no.
Well, what better place to enact change on a system than from the inside?
You can't fundamentally change the system on the inside if you want something crucial like genocide. See, with genocide, you got to have a social movement on the outside that generate leaders who have a history of being anti-genocide.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, genocide is an attack on a particular set of people. However, people you think, the American citizens, the black people, the poor people, whatever, right? Has there been an attack on people that we represent, the Democratic Party, or the Republican Party? Answer that for me. Why are you making your vote? I just want to know.
You can't have leaders who've been tied to genocide most of their career and act as if they're going to make a promise and then try to bring you in and you get co-opted and you end up selling out and they turn away from their promise, which they've done all the time.
Right. That's because you lack an understanding, right? How are you going to expect to change when everybody that comes in is representing the same party before them is just keeping the same agenda going? And that agenda was pushed against people like you, hardworking, good people. That should be the only thing getting asked, right? How does it help you? How does it directly affect you? All right, we're gonna get into the electoral college and what their real goal is with voting, right? Like I said, an understanding. Many of you lack political understanding, and I do too. But we're gonna learn all of this together, right? We're surfing. We're gonna learn together. This is an educational podcast, and I think we get better as a people every week, right? Every week. So Cornell West talked about that, lacking an understanding and genocide being pushed by the same political parties y'all always choose. Even though Cornell West is running, like I said, he speaks the language, but many of you don't even know that he's running and I talk to you. So that means you have a lack of an understanding. Now, we're still surfing. Right? But this is something else. So when we connect at the minds, right? This is the reason why I call this surface level as well, because one of the main things people say is, Kamala's black, Trump's white. You gonna support a black woman? That's your choice. But you can't make me because I don't connect with race. That's another little simple game that people play, the race game. Oh, they're black, we're gonna vote for them. Nah, we meet at the mines because that's happened too many times. Now, Fred Hampton's gonna talk about imperialism, right? That's how it happens. We have black imperialists, people that are from our community that look like us, dress like us, play rap music, drive cars, and all the same thing, get their haircuts, same barbershop as us. But they ain't for us, right? Imperialism leads to an emperor, another way of being led by somebody, right? The individual's being led. So Fred Hampton, rest in peace to the great mind of Fred Hampton. He already knew. Now listen to this. You got to get an understanding.
We got to understand here the educational program that you have to be able to figure out whether it will go on the right lines, where the people will end up in a situation where they can be able to really control themselves. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, the people take this local foundation and start stealing money because they won't be really educated to why it's the people's thing anyway.
You see what I'm saying? You lacking education, right? Got me stuttering, Fred. You lacking education, so it's not about like, I don't care nothing about that political stuff, man. It ain't got nothing to do with me. You're a taxpayer. It has everything to do with you. It has everything to do with you. That's how people steal. And I know you don't care. We're talking, like I said, I'm surfing. You might not care because you surfing. But underneath that is a deeper meaning why you don't care so many things are being put in place when we're talking about genocide. Attacking a certain group of individuals who look like us, who work like us, who live like us, but you don't care. It's just something to think about because you lacking education and understanding. Meanwhile, things are going on. That is what Fred Hampton was talking about, right? That's why you don't care. You don't see where the money goes. We're gonna get to the money too. We're gonna get to the money. Y'all know me.
We're coming to get our check.
Yeah, we coming to get them checks, brother. Understand that.
Because they won't be really educated to why it's the people's thing anyway. You know what I'm saying? With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9. Like.
Right. You hear what he says? You'll have the black version of it. It ain't no different. We meet at the mines. That's why Fred was such a threat to the powers that be. Because he understood the mindset and he tried to unite everybody through the mind and to get an understanding of that we have the same cause. You want to better yourself, I want to better myself. No matter how we look. Like you good, hardworking people, don't come in, you're going to hate me as soon as I walk in the room. That's ignorance. Surfing. Get off the surface. Get more to the mind.
Instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9, like you got in
right.
Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be an educational program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important with us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party.
You're there, right? Before you can even get down with the Panthers in Chicago, you had to go through an educational program. You can't just walk with us. Like, you got to make sure you watching the mob. You got to make sure that you rocking with us with this understanding of what you talking about before you go out there just spewing out stuff that you heard somebody say on TV that was supposed to be representing you. That's causing imperialism.
Able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have an education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing.
They don't know why.
You might get people caught up in the emotionless movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
Negro imperialists. And what do we have now? Right? Because you don't know the intent of people, like, because you lack an education. Like, oh yeah, we're going to put them in place. You're going to do this. Oh, no. It's the same thing going on everywhere with people of color. Right? Africa. Look at that. Same thing going on in the black. We got a black city. We got a black mayor, a black chief of police, a black sheriff. We got everything. Black judges, black state representatives. So we can get off that. And we look at the city and we know what's going on. Right? All right, let's get a question from the chat. Ma, I got a question. Who has been the president and vice president for the last 4 years? And the reason I ask is because everybody playing dumb who in office right now. Biden, you know, it's been Biden and Kamala, right? Well, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, you think it's gonna be totally different if you put her in. And nah, you're still gonna push the same agenda. That's what Cornell West was saying. You expecting change from somebody that's down with that's already been in there for hundreds of years. Like, come on, bro. Come on now. Y'all know better than that, but y'all want to surf. Or you can just say, man, the hell with all of these people and just improve yourself. That is a good option. That is a great option. But if you do say that, though, right, should you choose not to vote or to not even play the political game, right? Play the surfing game. I would like for you to have an understanding to know why you're choosing not to. That's all I want, because we're here to educate each other. And y'all tell me some things that, hey, if I'm missing something, chat mob, y'all holler at me, or y'all see me out in the streets, y'all holler at me. Like I said, 901-472-9410. Call me. All right? Because y'all will tell me in the streets what y'all think. Nah, we need to hear it on the mob. I need y'all calling in so we build this platform. I know a lot of great minds. And I'll let you talk. Man, you can tell me something. Like I said, I'm learning this too. I'm learning this as I go. Hope we can educate each other, right? Legend said, all right, yeah, it's all about a solid foundation. That's what we building here. Now, so you heard what Fred Hampton said about the money being stolen and things like that from lack of understanding, lack of an education, right? Now, what really happens with the political money and the votes, right? Because you're focused on the presidential election. You're focused on Kamala versus Trump or whatever, right? I'm telling you, man, that is the whole reason behind the presidential vote and the popular vote is to feed an algorithm. Like, they really want to know who you want in office, even though they won't, the popular vote won't choose it. We need to know, just like we got cell phones for data. You think you got that because you can get in touch with your family fast. No, you got that as a tracking device to know what you like and when you like to do it and who you like to do it with. So when you vote for the president, like, okay, there, we got them right. You're just giving them more information because at the end of the day, I'm saying the presidential debate, popular vote doesn't matter. But locally, you control everything. But I never hear how people talk about the local vote because you only talk about what the media wants you to talk about. And that's Trump versus Kamala, knowing that the popular vote in the presidential election is just a distraction. That's all it is. So listen to this about how the voting system goes and how the money goes. And because I know there's a lot of money coming to Memphis from Washington, but somehow it never makes it to the community. Now check this out.
The criticisms of Biden is we passed all these historic bills the first 2 years I was in Congress, but then on the ground, people are still struggling to find good jobs and make enough money and afford their housing, afford their child care. And I always remind people, it's not only Biden's fault. We got to vote down ballot. Yeah. Who are we sending to U.S. Senate? Who are we sending to Congress? What about the state? We send the state and the county billions of dollars. The state and the county decide how they're going to use that money.
You hear that, right? They send billions. I know you don't care. I don't care nothing. I care what them white people. I know. But for those who do care and lack an understanding that maybe Biden did send you a lot of money. You're a Democratic city. Well, most black cities are. So why is the money not making it to the community? That's what Fred Hampton was talking about, right? Because you don't care or you don't have an understanding. You see things, you vote for things, then nothing happens, so it makes you not care. But the reason you don't care is because you don't know. And we know around here one of our favorite quotes is knowing is half the battle, right? So for you to be against all of these things, I know you're against politics, but it's a way of doing things in America. You may be against money, but we understand that money is a resource. That it can do a lot of good for our people, a lot of good, and it can do a lot of bad, depending on what you choose to do with it. It's a choice. Another one of our quotes, man, we keep going back, man. We do it here, bro. We do it here. B, C, D. Birth, death. B, birth, death, D. You know what I'm saying? The middle, the C is a choice. And it's just a resource and a choice to do what you want to do with it. If we got the right people in place, hey, man, I can do some things. If we get an understanding.
We send the state we send the state and the county billions of dollars. The state and the county decide how they're going to use that money. So if we're not active politically locally, they're not going to listen to us. They just going to spend the money how they want to spend it. And so that's why we need everybody involved, not just for me and my race. It's not about me. It's about what we all represent. Like, we represent justice. We represent humanity. We represent the American dream for real, opportunity. And that's why everybody got to be involved.
Yeah. It's all about involvement, having an understanding, like I said. And most of us aren't involved. We just want to talk about what we saw last night at the debate. Did you see what Trump said about her? And like I said, emotions, like Fred Hampton said too, emotions get us misled. It's all the same thing. Because we see stuff not happening in a presidential debate, it makes us say, man, the hell with all politics. I don't even want to get involved in them at all. And I'm talking about myself. My thinking, I had the same exact thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. Make sure you put yourself first though, right? Just surfing, bro. We just surfing. But understand that this is a resource. And so now let's get to this, right? Now I was talking about the popular vote, right? In the electoral college, right? We're gonna get into that because Elon Musk has something to say about that. And I'm gonna break down the electoral college too, right? We're gonna break down where the vote actually goes and how the system actually works in a presidential debate. Now, this is not about saying that it doesn't, like the local politics, they work directly. But in the presidential debate, nah, you have no direct influence. And I'll explain exactly what I mean in the next clips. All right, our local politics, y'all. Understand this.
You know, I saw the most incredible statistic the other day. Apparently something like 60% of the book bans in this country, like school boards banning this because I don't know, they mentioned gay people in it or something, like all that. There's been thousands, 60% of them from 11 people. Very dedicated.
60% of books banned out of school are from 11 people. 11 people actively knowing. See, they know who to call. You don't know who to call. All you know is what Trump said about Biden last night. You don't know who to call about that sewage being clogged on your streets, why all the trash is backed up on it. You don't know. It's one number that you can call for your representative to get that whole neighborhood cleaned up. If you knew who to call, but you lack an understanding. And I said to the chat, yeah, they are definitely the same coin, right? Just as it is up top, as it is below. So the red and the blue are the same thing. Don't get it twisted, bro. All that, yeah, they the same thing, right? It's just colors. Colors. It's just colors. Same agenda. But yeah, hit that like and share. Appreciate that, Jay Exclusive. Hit that like and share, y'all. You did. Because I know I'm getting you some info, man, that you ain't getting nowhere else. Right? Let's get it.
Mention gay people in it or something, like all that. There's been thousands, 60% of them from 11 people. Very dedicated folks calling around. They're not in the district, you know, they're just calling around, making a fuss, traveling. It is remarkable, especially at a local level, how much single people can do.
I've heard stories of like housing developments held up because like one old lady goes to every single city council meeting. She knows every single person on the board.
Right? They couldn't even build entire communities because one old lady went to a city council meeting and complained. Now you can say, man, I ain't thinking about all this stuff. I ain't into that. But why you be complaining to me about what's going on then? Like, why you complaining to me? What you want me to do? And you vote. Don't you be following politics? Don't you talk about Trump every day? What you want to talk about? You don't want to go to no local city hall meetings or nothing like that. You don't want to get involved no kind of way. You just want to watch Fox, go to work, and talk about the presidential debate or the presidential race. It has nothing that you cannot control. When these little old ladies around the country are calling and getting books banned, they're pushing their agenda. What are you doing? Just talking. Because you lack an understanding. To understand it locally. And I got friends in local politics. I understand it. It's just a resource. And whoever's going to get me what I need when I need it, they'll be used and seen as a resource that I'll change should need be. But you don't know what I'm going to do to better myself. Understand that. But that is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to have an understanding, because knowing is half the battle. Now you know how they get down and how they get these things changed.
To every single city council meeting, she knows every single person on the board, and she's always giving speeches. There is an ungodly amount of power available, but it's at the local level, and that's like not sexy. Everybody wants to talk about like Biden and Ukraine and AOC, and that's it. And then it's like, well, who's your mayor? You know, like what do you do locally? Because that's where just like 5 or 10 people can sometimes exert massive influence. There's a joke I tell on my stream.
5 or 10 people locally can have a massive influence. But y'all buying shirts and campaigning for the national presidential, man, lacking of an understanding, bro. The people that know politics laugh at us when we'll just complain about these things on a national level.
There's a stoplight outside my house. I hate it. And they were finally marking the stoplight for deletion. And I remember one day this lady knocked on my door and she had a little petition to sign to save the stoplight. And I'm like, no, this stoplight is the dumbest stoplight in the world. I'm so glad it's changing stop signs. And I kind of laughed it off and she walked away or whatever. 2 weeks later, God damn it, she saved the goddamn stoplight. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I should have been running a counter petition.
And it's almost always because the people in the suburbs are old and retired and have the time to run. And
no, don't say that. No, it ain't because the people in the suburbs are old. The people in the suburbs have an education. And I ain't talking about through the school board. I'm talking about an education of the way things work in this country. Right? You can't say everything's bad. Nothing is bad. Nothing is good. Just get out of there. It is a resource. Is a gun good or bad? Is a knife good or bad? You tell me. Depends on who's using it, right? Yeah. An icicle can either be cool your drink down or can kill somebody, depending on what's happening and how it's being used. Like everything else in this existence. Get an understanding of how to use it so it won't be used against you.
the money to run, and they show up. That is to their benefit, but like, there's nothing about that that isn't transferable. But a lot of people, especially on the left, it's not that they set their hopes too high. Hope should be high, but the expectations of what any individual can do, I think a lot of people are touting around, historical revolutionary dreams, when in reality, the real way you get power in this country and in any situation is by knowing who your local counselors are and calling them often enough to be annoying.
You heard that right. The key word is knowing. Most of you just know who the president is. But we're going to teach. We're going to get to these representatives. That's why I got on Justin Pearson. Like I said, I keep bringing him up because he's one of our representatives. He represents the neighborhood where I grew up. Never seen him over there, though. They had these city town hall meetings. We don't know anything about them, but I guarantee you in the suburbs, they're there. That's why this goes back to when I went undercover at the Germantown City Town Hall meeting. They were there and they were active, and things were happening immediately because they understand the power in local politics and the power in knowing. Like I said, you can choose to come to these town hall meetings. It may not be the thing for you. You got another calling. Understand whatever you're doing, you need to be doing it for the culture. Because we need everybody on deck. All my good hard workers, all my good people that I represent for. You need to be doing something. Don't worry about the politics. If that ain't your thing, so be it. You need to be bettering you, and that'll better us. But for those of you who care about this, get an understanding. While you surfing, no surface level conversations, you'll be up on it. You'll have an understanding about how deep the water really is that you're surfing on. Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's get into it. Now, when you vote, you hear me saying, hey, man, the vote ain't going nowhere, right? Let's break down to what they really want. This presidential election is pretty much coming down to like swing states, right? They just, like I said, they just really want to know what you're thinking, who you want to be your emperor. This is imperialism. So who do we put in place and how we got the same tactics, right? The same coin. Do we have a fierce, rugged white man? Or do we have a colored, hey, I'm on here for the people and we're going to do benefits type of black woman, right? Or woman of color. There's a gender war there. There's a racial war there. They got the both opposite sides. You got salt and pepper. Hey, at the end of the day, man, they're made by the same company. And like I said, that goes back to what Cornell West talked about. But anyway, let me educate you up on this. So next time you talking about, hey man, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Cameron. I'm voting for this. Bring this part in the conversation and see what they say, right?
Don't pay too much attention to the national polls. You may have heard that Vice President Kamala Harris has been surging in national polls and that she's now virtually tied with former President Donald Trump. But America is not a true democracy, so national polls don't really mean that much. U.S. elections are all about the Electoral College, which means that only a few battleground states matter. See, the origins of America's voting system date back to 1787 when the Founding Fathers worried about fairness. And while some did advocate for a direct popular vote, others feared that would leave smaller states without a voice. Their solution was a compromise called the Electoral College, which is a hybrid system that blends elements of direct democracy and federalism. Each state is allocated a number of electors based on its representation in Congress, and the candidate who wins the popular vote in each state typically receives all of its electoral vote.
Typically. Now, typically, that is the way that it goes because they already know who y'all vote for. But in the election of Trump versus Hillary, Hillary won the popular vote and still lost. It can happen again. Many people know that and still will sit up there and argue with you about who you voting for. That is the dumbest conversation. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said dumb. It's the most surface level conversation you can have.
The total number of electors is 538, and the candidate needs a majority 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. Harris and Trump getting to the White House means winning a few key states known as swing states, which can determine the outcome. The swing states to watch in this election include Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
Do any of you live in these states? Y'all probably got some family up in these states. Other than that, vote or die. Ain't gonna make a difference.
Nevada, North Carolina, and Minnesota could also be a factor. The candidates must secure victories in these battlegrounds to amass enough necessary electoral votes. That means Harris and Trump must appeal to a broad coalition of voters across different regions, each with distinct priorities and concerns. The Electoral College magnifies the importance of regional strategies and voter outreach. Now, the Electoral College system has seen its share of controversy and debate, and there have been hundreds of attempts to change it. In fact, according to the National Archives, there have been more proposals for constitutional amendments on changing the Electoral College than on any other subject.
So there's been a bigger battle to change that than any other subject because people are like, hey man, we voting at this one time. Can we get who we want in there? Like those are the people that know. But man, you don't even push for this. You just keep voting and keep fighting.
But the system persists. So, as you watch the U.S. presidential election take shape and start to see lots of polls floating around, make sure you pay attention to the action in these 8 states and don't give too much credence to what's happening in national horse race polls.
National horse race poll. Right? Now, like I said, we're just breaking it down, just still doing a little surfing, you know? I want to answer the question of the show about does the black vote count? All right, on after this. Now, because Elon Musk did an interview with Don Lemon, right? And he was saying, all of you are wondering, like, what's going on with the immigrants? Why are they bringing these people? It's always an agenda being pushed, bro. So the reason behind all of the immigrants coming in the country, or the migrants rather, coming in and being sent to Democratic states is for more electoral votes based off the population. So even if these immigrants or migrants don't have any citizenship, they still get counted into the population of where they're going. So that's why you saw so many migrants getting shipped to Chicago, California, New York, all of these different places. They have an agenda for a reason. And we were all wondering, like, what is the purpose behind all of this? Well, that was Biden's plan. Not saying that Biden and the Democratic Party are any more vicious than the Republican Party. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that this agenda, this is the reason why you've seen so many of them coming in under Biden's administration as opposed to Trump. Now check this out. Elon Musk is saying some deep stuff right here, right? Mr. Supercomputer and Myth.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Great Replacement Theory now? some of the things that you post, a great replacement theory. You claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes.
Not just popular votes, though. Not popular votes. Electoral votes, the ones that count.
But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections, so how is that possible?
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is great replacement theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that. I'm simply saying that there is an incentive here. If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat. The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is, in my view, a simple incentive to increase voters, to Democrat voters.
And if you look, right, the thing that everybody's upset with the immigrants coming in and getting the big boost of money on the food stamp cards, who y'all think did that? You gotta understand something, right? The Republicans are into giving out money like that, right? That's not their little way of doing things. They got their dirty way of doing stuff, right? It's not that. So who's in right now? The Democrats, right? They are funding the immigrants, giving them food stamps, funding to move and all that. But I'm just saying, I don't want that stuff anyway, right? Because I understand what those programs do. I'm all about detachment away from the powers that be. You depending on them. We need the food stamps. We need this. We need this. We need our reports. We need all this. Nah, what we need to do is get more structure and get our shit together on our own and focus on us and get away from this and stop waiting on these saviors. Because as you can see, there are so many different agendas being pushed. It ain't got nothing to do with bettering us. So our best way to better us is to better ourselves and detach away from these emperors, imperialism, like the late great Fred Hampton talked about.
So the question is like how? So there's a few ways that this works. One is that when the census is done, the census is based on all people in an area, whether they are citizens or not. So if there are a concentration of people who came here illegally in a particular state or in a particular state, that state will actually then get an increased number of House seats.
Right? So now you see why you see Sanchez and Hector hanging out at the gas station a little bit more now. No, there's nothing against them. Everybody here to better themselves. I'm all for it. But there's a reason behind it, and you got to have an understanding of it. I just think the understanding lets you know why you need to detach more. If I just tell you, hey man, detach from these people, I ain't trying to help you, you might not even understand why I'm saying it. You like, nah, man, they ain't like that. They gonna help us out. They gonna give us some funds. We finna go vote. How long we been saying that? Right? How long have we been saying that?
So the House seat apportionment is proportionate to the number of people, not the number of citizens. So the illegals overwhelmingly go to places like California and New York, and if you just look at the math, if you look at the apportionment with and without illegals, I believe California would lose. I believe the blue state, there would be a net loss of blue states of approximately 20 seats in the House. This also applies to the Electoral College. So you say, like, well, this also applies to electing the president, because the electoral votes are also done by apportionment the same way that House seats are done.
But the reason, Elon, the Electoral College is in place is to balance that, is so that doesn't happen. So what you're saying about it is...
You see, you gotta have conversations with people like this who just believe whatever policy that's written is like, no, they put it in place to protect us from this. Nah, that's what they told you. But I'm telling you the reality of it. That's the language I talk. Like, we're gonna have these conversations about this BS, but knowing, you gotta know what you're talking about. Even when you say, hey man, I don't like that, I don't wanna see that. Why? Do you have an understanding of it? Or you just being dismissive of everything? There's a difference between detaching and being dismissive. Detaching from something you understand is totally different. You gotta know why you don't wanna jump into a 20-foot pool, because I'll drown. But if you've never even tried to swim before, then you might be the world's greatest deep diver. You never know. You have to have an understanding of why you're not doing something and why you're doing something. And I just think we lack that as a culture, and we get a better understanding, we'll better ourselves. So you can get this understanding on your own. Many of you that are watching this right now are on your own, probably on your phone or whatever. Just get a better understanding. So when you do come back to the community, we can have high-level conversations and it won't be so surface level about what's really going on. We need to get in this water.
The exact opposite of the reason why the Electoral College is there. The Electoral College at this point, in our history, gives people who are in smaller states and red states much more of an influence over our elections than people who are in blue states, and the majority of the people in this country. That's what the Electoral College does. It actually does the exact opposite of what you're saying. It protects people who are in smaller states and protects people who are in red states.
Well,
the red states, because they tend to be smaller and less populous.
I think that statement is what you said is true, but what I said is also true, which is that if as is the case, a disproportionate number of legal immigrants go to blue states, they amplify the effect of a blue state vote. And the math, as I understand it, you can research this obviously very easily on there. It's pretty straightforward to research this. But my understanding is that there would be that the Democrats would lose approximately 20 seats in the House if illegals were not counted in the census, and that's also 20 less electoral votes for president. So the illegals absolutely do affect the who controls the House and who controls the presidency. It does not affect the Senate.
All right. So it doesn't affect. Just get an understanding that he had, he's on all these different, and a part of all these different groups. So he understands stuff on a high level. The people that are really affected by it are us, but people like him are making a decision. Not saying that Elon's in politics or anything, but he is a powerful man in this country. And yeah, like I said, just get an understanding. So, has the black vote ever counted? And the chatbot said, I'm not taking shots at the church again off subject, but I've noticed that every election, the first place they go is the black church. And my question is, what is the faith-based initiative? We've talked about this before. It's just lack of an understanding. That's all it is, man. Like I told you, man, we're going to go. That's what usually works for us, church leaders. But that came from what I said about what Fred Hampton said about imperialism, right? Just because they look like us and they preach like this and I know what's going on and you know you're going, nah, man, we ain't with that. Just because he up there sweating hard talking about stuff you can relate to and he look like your uncle does not mean that he is for the culture and for the movement. Understand that. Unless he talking like this, my drop didn't play. Unless he tell you get dope out your veins and hope in your brain, bro. That's it. Other than that, I ain't really messing with no pastors like that for the most part. They gotta show me, man, it's about the people. But I'm not against them either. It's about the individual. Yeah, I do know that church is a resource. Too, right? It's faith-based, but it's a resource. A lot of money going through there. A lot of business going through there. A lot of ways that you can help the movement. If you do what you got to do, so be it. If the church was really doing their calling, then things would be right. But we know what's really going on. So yeah, they go to the church and they go to celebrities. You got Meg Thee Stallion twerking, right? I saw, old boy, Keenan. Keenan was on Saturday Night Live. He was doing some stuff at the Democratic convention. Yeah. Not shocking at all. So that's all I got for you, y'all. Anybody wants to say anything before we get out? Anybody want to do a little surfing with your boy? So, but yeah, I'm gonna say this before I go too. That the word local in our culture, in our community, it's deemed bad. And it's not a bad thing. Because if you're a rapper, you're a local rapper. I'm like, he local. Local. That's home. Wherever you are, if it's local to you, it affects you more so than national. I know everybody wants to be international, but local is the home, right? I don't care wherever you move. Locally, you should care about what's going on around you. as opposed to what you're seeing on TV in La La Land. Right? So try to affect that. And get more involved in the local. Local is like baby steps to me. We don't like baby steps, but we work locally, right? We clean up our neighborhoods. We clean up wherever we are. We better ourselves, right? Locally. Then that grows nationally. We always want to do this little quick jump to, oh, the culture's great now. Everything's good now. Nah, it's not gonna be like that. It's gonna start with the individuals, right? So next time, I don't want to let y'all know, we did some surfing this time, surface level conversations. I don't know when it will be back again, but that ain't usually what we do around here. But I know y'all like to talk about Biden versus Kamala. Right? Meanwhile, like I said, you don't even know what's really going on right around the corner from you. And that's what we talk about here. So hopefully don't let anybody take you away from you. And I Am Legend said, it's all make believe. If they can make you believe that it, then they can make, if they can make you believe that it makes it real, your mind is all. The greatest weapon of the oppressor is the oppressed mind. Let the church say amen. Get your mind right, get you right, and trust me, we will be stronger. I think we got better. Y'all think we got better after this show? As a people, somebody learned something in here, bro. Somebody feels more enlightened. Somebody's frequency's up after this. Y'all didn't call me, but so be it. All good, man. Hit y'all next time. Till then, I'll see y'all next Sunday, 6 p.m. Be there. And I had the phone lines open then too. Until then, better yourself. Now better us. You got it?